Alright, I'm stippling my Glock 19. First I just basically practiced on this A2 AR-15 grip. Got the pattern I liked. And I basically just duplicated what I did on this to the Glock. And then I also took a Sharpie and I outlined where I wanted it to end. And then I used the soldering iron to basically make a boundary. And then I just started texturing. Now you can see this side's done. And I've started on this side. I've already got underneath the trigger guard. I'm going to do the front also. Now I'm not going to show you how I do it or how I'm doing it because it's kind of hard to do through the camera. Well, maybe I'll just try a little, but it's really hard to see how the little details, and you don't want to go too deep. But that's why you practice on something like this. You got an old grip or maybe an old polymer magazine that you don't need anymore, but this grip is perfect because it's basically roughly the same size as the grip on the Glock, and it's basically the same material, so it gives you a really good idea of how much pressure you need to put and how to get the pattern you want. There's a myriad of patterns you can make. You can decide some soldering pens, you can change the tip. This is just a standard pointed tip. And what I do is I basically just make an X pattern over and over again. And I just keep duplicating that. Try to get it as random as I can. It kind of basically, you can't see the original pattern. Here you could barely make it out, but on this side you can't so much. And that's what I want to go with this. You don't want the original pattern to show through. It won't look really good. And I'd also suggest not obliterating any of the markings. You don't want to obliterate the Glock logo or the patent number or any of this. I don't know if there would be any issues with the ATF. You definitely don't want to remove your serial number. That's a big no-no, which you can, but that's pinned in, it's metal. But I wouldn't get rid of anything else just to be safe. Make sure you leave the Glock logo, any characteristics, any markings that determine this, what kind of weapon this is. So I wouldn't get rid of anything. I mean, you may want to, but I wouldn't. You know, if you want to, that's on you. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to finish this, and then I'll come back and I'll show you what the finished product looks like. Okay, so it's all done. Underneath the trigger guard, all along the back strap, both sides. I did not destroy any of these markings. Let's put the slide on. See how this looks. And then the magazine. It's not loaded. No ammo out here. Drop this in. That's it. All done. Like I said, if you're gonna do this, I would practice on something that you don't need. This, like I said, this is an A2 AR-15 pistol grip that I got from a rifle lower receiver parts kit that I didn't need because I wound up using a mag pull instead. So I would practice on something like this before you actually go and have at your Glock with a soldering iron. I bought the soldering iron at Harbor Freight. It was like $4. I know a lot of, I guess, gunsmiths, you would call them, will charge you to do this for you. And I heard from anywhere like up $80 and up. And some of them do a really cool job. They'll do like a pattern, different types of patterns and stuff. This, I basically, like I said, I just took a standard soldering iron and just kept repeating an X pattern over and over again, over and over again. I like the way it looks. I'm not sure if it's for everybody. I think a lot of people think it looks ugly. I've seen some stippling jobs that I particularly don't like, and do think are ugly. I've seen the golf ball ones where they just not the little pinhole pricks, which I think is fine. It's a large golf ball like texture, which really looks, as far as I'm concerned, really bad. If you're going to do this, it's going to take you about maybe 30 minutes to 45 minutes, probably up to an hour. It takes a lot of time to slowly knock this out. That's why you should always practice on something like this. So, and also I did this area up here, so it affords a nice grip. Another thing I would suggest is to have an empty magazine with you, and as you're doing this, you want to test fit that magazine every once. Take a break every once in a while, test fit the magazine. I don't think it's very likely, but I would be concerned that if you're going to be stippling this, if you get this polymer frame too hot, you don't want it to deform. I don't think that's likely, but I'd hate to find out after I've done this, go to stick my mag in and find out that it's binding up. The soldering iron doesn't really get hot enough to really do that, but depending on, I don't know if there's different types of soldering irons that you could use that could get really hot, that could start to warp this polymer frame. So I don't know how likely that is, but it's just something that I would be aware of. So that's what I did. Every couple minutes I would stop, take a break, your hand gets a little fatigued, test fit the magazine, make sure it's going to come. This one won't drop out because it's empty. This is also a Korean, South Korean made magazine, high capacity magazine. Well, not high capacity, I believe it's made for a Glock 19. Excuse me, Glock 17. So that's why it sticks out a bit. I think the texture might be a little aggressive, but I believe it'll probably wear down a bit. And if it doesn't, if it starts digging in, which I can feel it digging in right now, I can always come back with a soldering iron and try to take those sharp edges off. All right. Hope this helps anybody who's thinking about doing this themselves. I don't think it's really that hard. I think if you, like I said, if you practice a little on something like this, you should be ready, set to go. All right. Thanks.